dramatic situations in Migori County. Let's bring in Joy Brenda Masinde, political analyst and advocate of the High Court, just to put into perspective what all this means now. Joy, let's begin with Migori, because there's quite a lot going on there. So we've seen Ochilo Ayako now coming up with an order to nullify the tallying process, one that has already been served to the returning officer, and he says that there will be no repeat of the nomination exercise. So what does this mean and what's the way forward?
One thing that we are happy about is that we're seeing he went to the internal party structures to get this sorted out rather than rushing to court for some random court order. And that is, to me, a very huge development, that he trusts his party processes that have been put in place to be able to resolve this dispute. Now, once he has delivered the order, and now there's no more time for a repeat nomination, the fact even that 3 returning officers and their deputies have resigned shows that there's either some level of integrity or a place where people do not want to be used to rubber stamp things that they do not feel comfortable with. Now, moving forward, for them, it must be a negotiated settlement. Either they use what they have to declare the winner, or they decide that this is going to be decided by the elections board. Whatever the party dictates are, that is what they're going to follow to resolve the impasse. If they're not going to repeat the nomination process, the only way out, in my opinion, would be for them to actually use what they have. Forget the ones that have not been delivered. Just use what you already have.
Which they're already contesting as is.
Yes. Or you have a negotiated settlement where you sit down, look at everything and say, gentlemen, can we agree that this is a reasonable outcome? And then move the party forward.
All right. And of course, in Nairobi, ODM nominations being cancelled, a later date yet to be announced, seemingly taking advantage of the court order now extending the nomination exercise. You know, what does that court order, first of all, what shift does it bring into the nomination process?
It's very disturbing, the trend that we are seeing, where people who are not happy with the positions that they've been given, let's do this by this time, let's do this by this time, rush to court to change the goalposts. It's very unfortunate. Let me just put this into context. While we are all just mixing our legs here, Theresa May has announced an election. She has called Parliament. They've ratified the decision. They have a date when they're going to the polls. They'll be done before we even start ours. The French did their elections on Sunday. They already know when they're doing their second round elections. They'll be done before we are done with ours. People need to respect timelines because they help things go seamlessly. Now, when we keep going to court, we disrupt the process. There's not enough time to do dispute resolution, like what we are seeing now happening in Migori. There's not enough time for realignments. Those who are going to become independents, those who are not. There's also not going to be enough time for IEBC to print to print ballot papers with the correct people in place. Because what if you're given a name of Joy today, then tomorrow it comes back and it's no, not Joy, no, it's Michelle. You've already made an order for the papers to come. What happens then? So we are shooting ourselves in the foot with all these court orders.
In terms